I recently shot my brother's wedding using the 35-150 and the Sony a7 IV. And I wanted to make this video to showcase of why this lens is so great for event photographies, weddings, and portraits, so that in case you're in the market to find the right lens for you, where you can have a great focal range with great aperture, maybe it'll help you out. Recently, Sony released their 28-70 f2 that is a great lens for what you're getting out of it. The downfall is the specs to the price point. You're paying about $3,000 for a lens that, to be honest, it is great because it's a Sony G Master lens, but not everybody has that budget to start with or even wants to invest into it despite of being relatively an established photographer. So it got to the idea of showing a little bit more of this lens in action for the type of photos that you would do when it comes down to the Sony 28-70 f2, but using the Tamron 35-150. My brother's wedding was a small ceremony where it was a little bit of just a tight space and also relatively with small amount of people. So I didn't have to be roaming around too much around the area, but I still got everything covered due to the focal range of this lens. 35 was more than wide enough for most of the scenarios that I needed to capture the essence of the scenario of like the ceremony, the audience, the establishing shots, but as well to be able to zoom in from farther away to not disrupt the ceremony as much as possible. Because we were limited in space, I did have to kind of roam around and kind of cross over here and there, despite using a few camera setups for the video part. I was a one-man shop when it came down to taking photos and videos for this wedding because, to be honest, it's a small ceremony type of wedding that eventually my brother will do his proper kind of wedding eventually with his wife because she's Brazilian, that they'll do it in Brazil sometime in the future. But since they wanted to do something kind of, great for family memories and everything, I went ahead and said that I would do the photos and videos and just set up cameras for, videos with tripods while I did some handheld video with this lens and with the a7 IV, but mainly more photos. And well, we were able to establish quite a bit of different ranges of photos and videos with that kind of setup. Don't want to really get too much into the video part of things because in reality, what this video is going to be more about is how much you can do with this lens setup without having to break the bank that you would with, the G Master lens or anything like that for event photographies or maybe weddings or anything of the sort. But a quick rundown on the video is just mainly I did a 3-camera setup, one of the main, one behind, and then one on the side, just to have a little bit of diverse shots for more of just getting a little bit of footage. That way they can have the full length of the ceremony so they can have the memories and everything. But from there on, just kind of have more of a little bit of a quick little video that I can make, but then focus on the photos at the end for them, just to have a little bit of a quick memory to share on social media. This lens just does it all. I'll be honest, I've done many videos with this lens and it sounds sometimes like a broken record, but the reason why I have to always bring it back is because it's such a phenomenal lens for the bang for your buck and what you're getting out of this lens for this ratio of specs to the money spent on it and what you'll get in return. Right now, even Tamron has a sale where you can get $200 off. So if you've been wanting to get this lens, I would probably hurry up before they end the sale because I think it ends on January 5th, 2025. I could be wrong. I mean, they don't sponsor me or anything like that. I just have worked with them with, trying to test out lenses and things of that sort. And I've bought the lenses with my own money. So I think they're worth the investment since I've honestly gotten the most money out of them and used them so many places and everything. The craziest part about this lens is in reality, you're gonna make your money back a lot faster with not hindering any quality and or, range whenever it comes down to creating photos on the go as a one-man band shop or if you're working with somebody else as well. Having that 35 at f2 is great for low light. Even that 2.8 is great because you're gonna be fine with that little point extra stop than you would if you had an f2 lens. Because at the end of the day, you just don't really have to worry about it too much anyway, because most of these cameras are really great with low light and there's not much, that you can't do in post editing now. So, you'll be fine. The craziest thing that I loved about this lens is just that reality, the weight of it was not an issue. I was out there preparing, taking photos of every little detail that I could think of, photos of people, just taking photos with the groom and bride, just as they were doing like just a quick photo setup just to have for memories, and as well going ahead and taking the photos throughout the whole ceremony to make sure that I captured the important parts where they're, smiling while telling their vows or putting the rings on or anything of that sort so that I could have those memories and capture that up close because I can just zoom in all the way from a bit farther if needed. And the great thing about it is just you get really great compression with shooting in the more telephoto range of this lens, that it just works so great. And shooting a wedding, again, that I don't usually do weddings this often because it's a little bit chaotic, but small weddings like that, I don't mind. It's just great because I don't have to do too much in the sense of movement. I can just stay in one spot for a while, take different focal ranges, move on to the next spot, focal ranges, and things of that sort, where I won't be so intrusive when it comes down to the event. And that's why I wanted to make this video about it, because this lens is the perfect lens to not be intrusive for your event, weddings, portraits, photography. A lot of people get uncomfortable when the camera is going right at their face. So if you can be farther back and zoom in and just kind of snipe them out with it, and it'd be more natural, more just kind of like casual photo where they're not noticing candidly and everything, it's just great. And that's what I loved about using this for this setup. And my brother and his wife now are very happy with the photos. I'm happy with the photos. They turned out great. We had limited light, limited time and everything because sun is setting now earlier, and we were on this place that was outdoors. So as much as it is great to shoot outdoors and everything, you have to hope that the right conditions were out there and the right lighting and everything. But we made do with what we had and we made it happen. Even for the video part, I mean, it was great to be able to just set up the cameras and leave them there while I just moved around and took photos. So I was able to have different angles so that if I'm moving in frame of one of them, I can cut out to go to the next angle while everything's going in motion cohesively together. And that's why I just loved using this lens, because I know where my angles will be for video, for example, where I wouldn't intervene if it was somebody else maybe making the videos. So I can get the photos from a farther away while still getting every little detail that I need to do when it comes down to capturing memories of an event or ceremonies, weddings, or anything of the sort. This lens just does it perfectly. You can get this one right now like at $16.99. Usually it's like $18.99 for the Sony mount. I think Nikon's just a little bit more expensive. Sucks to be Nikon, I guess. But at the end of the day, they really just perform so well with these lenses onto, you know, your cameras, because they're really great with the autofocus and speed of everything. Do you really need to spend more money on, you know, the G Master lenses that it's a 28-70 f2? I don't know. I'm not really sure if it's worth the extra money for what you get out of it. Most people that I know that are really gonna go into that lens, it's really because that is ultimately their profession solely, and they need that extra quality for maybe the extra frames per second with photos, because sometimes it gets hindered with like third-party lenses accordingly. Maybe you want it because it's just what you think the quality will be better, will perform better with the autofocus, or anything of that sort that will bring you peace of mind while you're doing your job but making the money back. That's up to you. That's perfectly fine. There's no issue whatsoever. But I'm here just to give you the alternative. I'm here to let you know that you don't have to drop $3K on the newest lens, but you can get something for literally about half the cost now to be able to perform everything that you need to. Sure, you don't get that 28 range, but 35 is wide enough for most scenarios. If you truly need to have wider range, you can actually just get a different lens as a backup with like a second body, but a smaller one. For example, I often use my 20-40 by Tamron onto a smaller body like the A7C Mark II or anything of the sort, just to compensate as much as possible, where I can have that camera hanging around me so that I go, oh crap, I need a wider range, pull it up, take the photos quick, go back to using the 35-150, but it's not lugging around too much weight because of the size of that lens with the size of the camera. It just complements each other pretty well. So like I said, using the 35-150 for events and ceremonies, weddings, things of that sort is probably the lens to go to for the budget, for the size, for what you get out of it with the aperture and everything. Will it be for everybody because of the weight? Probably not. But if you know that you're gonna have to be a one-man band shop, or you can't, you know, divide the focal ranges between another person and you, or if it's just gonna be, you know what, I already know that I'm gonna be needing a little bit of the wideness at 35, but I'm really gonna be pressing into that telephoto range from 85 and up, well, you know that this lens is gonna perform so perfectly. And that's all I wanted to kind of drive into when it came down to using this lens, my thought process, how great it performed, because I've owned this lens for like about 3 years now or so, and it's never failed me. It's had great range, it's had great autofocus, great aperture, great everything, that I've made my money back and more, obviously, with this lens after this long, and it's done its worth of what I need every single time when I'm taking any events photos or anything like that. from a distance, up closer, or anything like that. So just thought I would share that with you in case you're wondering if you should go into spending $3,000, for example, on a 28-70 f2. Are you willing to give that, 0.8 up? Maybe you need a 24-70. I don't know, but at least you have some third-party options that work great with your camera for the bang for your buck and for the specs ratio. If you have any questions about how this lens performed for the events, what I didn't cover that you might be having any more questions about, please leave a comment down below. I would be more than happy to help you out as much as possible to make sure that you get the right lens for you that can work out for your needs as best so that you can perform perfectly out there on the job. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.